let's begin.
All right. You'll allow me to share my screen. Right here, right here. Okay. All right. Okay, can you see the screen? Can you guys see the screen? And can you hear me? Stacy?
Yeah.
We can see it. We can see you and hear you, Phyllis.
Wonderful. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Although campus tours have been canceled, there are still resources available for students to visit colleges. Many colleges offer virtual tours that can be accessed through their websites. These can help you feel for the campus layout, the physical attributes without actually visiting in person. On virtual tours, you can take your time and scroll around. On the virtual tours, you can find buildings that will be important to you, like libraries, student centers, gyms, and others. As we tour 4 colleges today, try to visualize what your life would look like as a student there. We will visit Howard University, Spelman College, Prairie View, A&M, and Texas University, and Tennessee State University. Our first slide is a beautiful picture of Fountain Hall on Morris Brown College campus, my alma mater. The first campus tour will be Howard University. We will listen to the virtual tour guide, then I will stop the tour, which you can do on a virtual tour, and point out some of the other interesting facts about the virtual tour website.
Welcome to Howard University, the Mecca. Established in 1867 in the nation's capital, Howard University is ranked as one of the top 100 research institutions in the country. Home to the mighty bison, there are more than 9,000 undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. The university boasts 120 areas of study across 13 schools and colleges, and is renowned for providing an exceptional educational experience in health sciences, business and communications, fine arts, law, engineering and architecture, among others. Birthed during an era of educational disparity, Howard has many groundbreaking firsts and continues to develop solutions that impact the African diaspora. Through traditional and innovative academic programs, the university remains a beacon of light for social justice. Howard's motto holds very true today: excellence in truth and service. Before we get started, let me explain the many ways you can explore our beautiful space. You can click on the forward-facing arrow to start walking around. You can jump to the next stop by clicking on the next button. Now, if you already know where you want to go, you can select any location by using the list or by clicking directly on the map. Lastly, remember that you can explore any particular location in more detail by clicking on the supplemental icons.
Okay, so the virtual guide, she gave you a brief history of the school. While we take in the views, I want to draw your attention to the left of the screen. You can fast track your tour and visit only the places that are of interest to you. You can go to Carnegie Hall, Founders Library, so you can choose to go where you want to. At the top of the screen, there are 3 tabs: Learn More, Schedule Visits, and Apply Online. Learn More shows information about financial aid, admissions, news about the school, events that are happening at the school, and much, much more. Schedule visit tab is where you could go to book a tour, but as we know that COVID has canceled all school tours. The last tab will give you information about how to apply to the school. Virtual tours are great because you can take your time to process all the information and you can retake the tour over and over and over. Our next tour is Spelman College. Okay, there we go. Okay. So here you see we are at the Welcome Information Center. All campus tours have been canceled. All campus tours have been canceled, and now you have to do a virtual information session. And with the virtual information session, see where my cursor is hitting, you have to choose a date where you will want somebody to call you and they will send you information on how to conduct your virtual information session. But while you're at the school site, you can just browse around to learn more about the school and the academics and admission and student life. Now, our next campus tour is Prairie View A&M. Wonderful.
Welcome to Prairie View A&M University. My name is Paige, and I will be your tour guide. Use the arrows above me to start the tour, or click on a specific location on the map to jump directly to it. Many locations include extra photos, videos, and 360-degree views, so be sure to check them all out. We can't show you the entire campus, but we hope that this virtual tour leads you to check out our beautiful campus on your own. These flagpoles welcome you to our campus. They were developed in 1976 to document 100 years of education. The entrance is undergoing changes this year and will include a pond as well as additional landscaping to make the entrance to the hill stand out.
Okay. Like Howard, on the left-hand side of the screen, you have the option to go off the tour and visit only those places you want to see. At the top, again, there are 3 tabs where you can learn more about the school. Of course, there's no school tours, but you can apply online. The only difference that this school tours offer, the only difference is that it was no virtual person like Howard did. You just had a voice that was leading you. So you can click the arrow on the right-hand side and you can just tour the school. Our last school that we are going to tour is Tennessee State University.
Tennessee State University, one of America's premier universities of higher learning and renowned HBCU. TSU sits in the heart of America's new hit cities, the music cities, Nashville, Tennessee, home of the Tennessee Titans, the Nashville Predators, and our beautiful 500-acre main campus, which rests on the shores of the Cumberland River. At TSU, Nashville's only public university, we embrace our institution's rich heritage and take pride in our legacy of producing impactful, innovative, and successful alums.
Good afternoon and welcome to TSU News.
Stroll down Greek Road. Explore our impressive architecture and state-of-the-art facilities. Come experience TSU, where our students think, work, and serve.
As the hub for all student activities, student support services, and student health services, The Floyd Payne Campus Center is a complete TSU student life experience. The 4-story building is home to the financial aid department, admissions, records, as well as student organizations and intramural sports and recreation. Also located in this building is the bookstore, which also provides an online shopping option. In this building, there are several food options, including the cafe, food court, and a convenience store. In honor of our historical AFROTC, this fighter jet adorns our campus center's south entrance, which is also where our distinguished Air Force ROTC Detachment 790 is located.
All right. Doing virtual campus tours are the best experience. You can view all of the schools in the comfort of your home. Each campus has a contact admissions number on the website. If there are more information needed, feel free to contact the admissions department. And lastly, I want to leave you with some information. I have signed up for the virtual HBCU college tour, and this is happening on September 19th. And at these tours, you have admissions counselors that are available to talk to you, and they'll also give you some other virtual things that you can do. So I will forward this information to the Wooten Center, and you can pre-register for yourself. And at the bottom here is a list of all the HBCUs by the state. And the only one that is located in California is the Charles Drew University of Medicine and Science. Thank you so much. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. I appreciate the time you put into that. I enjoyed those tours, especially the one of Spelman, of course. Okay, next up on our agenda is Jean Jiggers, and she is going to help you with the process that you need to go through when you're trying to select a college. Please take notes. This is some very important information. And as you know, choosing a college is one of the biggest decisions that you'll be making in your lifetime. So this information will hopefully be helpful to you. And if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. Or if you are on YouTube, you can chat with us via the chat room in YouTube, and I'll be happy to respond to your questions. Jean, please take it away.
Hello, almost college students. My name is Jean Jiggers. I am a member of Tau Beta Omega chapter, and I am thrilled today to talk to you guys about colleges and how to choose one. So this presentation is about decisions, and as Stacy mentioned, choosing a college is going to be one of the most important decisions that you make in your life. And today we're going to talk about how to start choosing where you will end up. One of the reasons why this is such an important decision is because in college, especially in life, but in college especially, you will find, hopefully, will find your people. You will find your community, you will find your network, and you will find your tribe. And the difference among the three is that a network is a group of people that are in your circle, maybe not necessarily your inner circle, but these are people who are in your circle that you can reach out to for different needs, for different questions, for different things that you may have that are challenges you might be facing. In a network, for example, it could be someone you could pick up and make a phone call to. You're very familiar with them. They're familiar with you. Maybe not so much on a friend level, However, they can make connections for you. This is important when you're looking for a job, when you're trying to buy a house, if you want. I mean, if your car gets towed, you may have somebody in your network who can hook you up and help you out in this situation. Your community is going to be pretty much the people on your campus, whether it is the professors, whether it's the people that you live in a dorm with, whether it is the people who work in the cafeteria, as well as your fellow students. That's what is defined as your community. If you pick the right school and you find yourself engaging in the right activities, that's where you're going to find your tribe. The tribe is the people that will have your back. These are the people who are going to, roll with you, help you in any way that they can. Sometimes they're good for a laugh. Sometimes these are, the one or two people that will be the shoulder to cry on. And so these are some of the really important reasons why choosing the right school is critical. So thank you for joining us today for that. I'm sorry. Oh, there, my slide is advancing. Okay, so this is where you have the chance to create your own path. A lot of times up to this point, you've done things that your parents or your church or other influences around you have basically given you pushes, shoves, guidance, or just told you, this is what you're going to do. But now this is you. This is you creating your own path. So today we will talk about what to consider, how to do your research, because this is critical. Doing your research is exceptionally critical. How to build your list so that you can actually go through and, identify what's good about certain schools, what's not so great about certain schools. And sometimes in building your list, knowing what you don't want is just as important as knowing what you do want. And we'll also talk about community college. Major colleges and universities are not for everyone. And sometimes they can be for people, but there are circumstances that may dictate that a different route is more appropriate for getting higher education. So we'll discuss that as well. So I'm going to tell you something that is a little strange. It's unconventional, but it works. What you want to do when you are considering colleges is you want to start in your future and then work your way backwards. And by that, I mean, consider what career path you are wanting to pursue. That is critically important. It is, if you are someone who wants to be a physician, and there's a certain school that you are attracted to, and it's a liberal arts college, that may not work out for you. So you want to start with your career, and you want to do a self-assessment. And by self-assessment, that means taking an inward look at what are some of the things that you have to have. What are your deal breakers? Is it, you don't want to be in the Midwest. You want to be at a school in the middle of a major city, or you don't want to be at a large school. You prefer to be at a smaller school. These are things that you can conclusions that you can come to by knowing yourself and what your preferences are. As far as your career is concerned, you absolutely need to know where your passions are. What are the things that really get you excited? And and that should give you some direction. If you don't already know, some of you probably do know exactly what career you'd like to pursue, but you definitely still need to take a hard look at that self-assessment, because I can tell you that quite often in college, you may start out thinking that you want to pursue one career path, and you get exposed to other things and you may change directions. People change their college majors pretty often. So if that's something that happens to you, that's fine. Don't feel bad about it. College is the place to do it. You want to start exploring your options once you have determined what specifically your career path is going to be. So once you determine what your career path is going to be, you need to pick a major. And major is, this is where what your focus is going to be when you are in college. Granted, when you get to college, you're going to have to take what's called general education classes. These are classes that the universities require in order to issue you a degree, and it doesn't matter what your career path is, what your major is. Someone who is who's majoring in graphic design and someone who is majoring in pre-law are going to have to take some of the same general education classes. These are usually your English classes, your history classes, etc. Some of them even make you take some type of a physical education class. But in your major, you want to be sure that the major that you choose is realistic, and that it is in alignment with your career goals. So if you have any intentions on being a teacher, for example, your major would be education. However, is education something that you really want to do, something that, you know, teaching is something that you really have a passion for? Or is it something that you have 12 teachers in your family and that's kind of the expectation? And so you want to make sure that, you know, your major is in alignment. There are some colleges where the major is not really clear. Wanting to pursue a career in medicine, for example, is one of them. And so pursuing a career in medicine, you could major in chemistry, you can major in biology, you can major in genetics, biochem. There's a lot of different options. You can major in math, believe it or not, and still be on a good track to get accepted into medical school. So you want to make sure that your major is in alignment with your career goals. So now we are choosing a school. Once you know you have your career goals, you've narrowed it down to majors, you now pick a school. And you want to choose schools based on a career plan A and a career plan B. Again, some people, you know, they're pretty firm and they know, I absolutely want to be an engineer. I want to be a bridges, I want to be a civil engineer or an architect. However, it's important to have some backup plan and to consider a backup plan. You'll hear about my best friend a lot because she's a very interesting person. All while we were growing up, she was dead set on becoming a pharmacist. Pharmacy was her thing. She was just, you know, she chose her college actually because they had an outstanding pharmacy program, and she ended up at Xavier University. Well, she got an internship at a pharmacy, and she called me one afternoon and she said, "Jean, I can't do this for the rest of my life." Mind you, she was, I think, a junior at that point. She only had 3 semesters before it was time for graduation, but she was bored. So she changed her major to chemistry, I believe, because it was aligned. anyway, she is now a world-renowned pediatric oncologist, and she travels and she does all kind when it was safe to travel. She does all kinds of cool things, but she just so happened to be at a school, it's going back to school, where she could switch it up and it not be painful for her. So that you want to consider as well when you're looking at your school to say, okay, I know civil engine, they have a good civil engineering program, but what I kind of like law, and maybe what if this engineering thing, I don't like it. Can they also prepare me for pre-law? So the things that you should consider in choosing a school are their academic programs. And so now this might make a little bit more sense to you why I said start with your career and work your way backwards. If you are looking for, if you want to be an architect, you want to find schools that have strong academic programs for architects and for people who major in architectural design or nursing or whatever it is, accounting, whatever it is that you decide, whatever path you want to take towards your career. It's also important that the school is accredited. And accreditation is a formal verification by a governing body that says this school is legit. It would be heartbreaking for you to actually go and spend time and money and a lot of resources into choosing a school and invest in those resources only to find out on the back end that the school is not legit. And it actually does matter when you get ready to either go to graduate school especially or to look for a job. You would like to look at the admissions requirements. This is also something that is very important, especially for you students who are juniors and seniors. The admissions requirements are, and actually freshmen and sophomores as well, because what you want to make sure is that you're able to check all those boxes. And so if there's some, I'm not sure how many foreign languages, for example, the state of California, how many years of the same foreign language the state of California requires. But just say, for example, if California requires only 2 foreign languages and your dream school requires, 2 years of the same foreign language and your dream school requires 3 years of the same foreign language, and you're a senior, there might be a problem. Unless you can find creative ways to get around that, like maybe taking the classes that you need on your own through some other type of a program. But you want to look at the admissions requirements to make sure that you can check the boxes, that it is a doable option, that they're not requiring some, I've seen SAT score that you may not be able to achieve because you might be a great student, but you're not so good, taking standardized tests. So look at all of those different things because this is going to help you to plan the classes that you actually take in high school. Location is very important. It goes back to what I was saying earlier in knowing yourself and doing that self-assessment. Are you an extroverted person? Do you like to be around people? Are you a city person? Do you have to be located, in a city where you can run to shopping and restaurants, or does it matter to you that the school might be located in the middle of a cow pasture? And you would be surprised at how many large schools are literally in the middle of nowhere. Now, you can't tell, or they're in, what we would consider to be kind of country areas. You really can't tell. Places like Duke University is one in North Carolina. when you're on the campus, you can't tell that you kind of been dropped in the middle of nowhere. Auburn University is another one. But it's, you need to know what is acceptable to you and what is not. Is the climate okay for you? Are you, do you think being from the West Coast in sunny Southern California, do you think that you'll be okay in a harsh winter climate, in Connecticut at Yale? Great school, very harsh winters. Some people can manage that. When I was at Southern University in Louisiana, we had a huge student delegation from California. And it was interesting to us because in our winter, they were walking, people from Chicago were walking around with shorts on. But those are adjustments that you're gonna have to make should you decide to leave the area. I do highly recommend, this is a side note, I highly recommend that you leave the area. College is an experience where it's a transition into real life. And but it's in a protected environment. And so you want to get out and experience as much as you can in that protected environment prior to having to go out into the real world and be on your own. There's a possibility that you may choose to go to a school that's close by, but you may get a job offer in Massachusetts or Kansas. And the first experience of you living away from home is going to be more of a culture shock for you if you go to a local school. That's just my personal pitch. Okay, also size. Again, we're talking about, are you comfortable in a very large environment? Are you more comfortable in a smaller setting? Do you learn better in a smaller setting where the class sizes are smaller? So affordability is huge. It's major because if, no matter how many schools you get accepted to, no matter how many schools you choose, you absolutely want to make sure that you can afford to go. And that is actually beyond, so this is kind of contradicting what I previously said, but affordability is critical. Can you afford to live away from home? Because in addition to your standard cost of college, meaning your tuition, your fees, your books, your room and board, which is how you pay for your dorm and your eating on campus, you still have to live. You're still gonna need haircuts. You will still need gas for your car if you have a car. Some people have to pay their own cell phone bills. So there are all of those things. You will need shampoo and deodorant. And a lot of things that are considered essential. So you may have heard people joke around about having to live on ramen noodles while they're in college, but it can be a reality. And so if you, I do encourage, we do have a budgeting series, and I do encourage all of you to tune into that budgeting presentation when it goes forward, because it will help you to be in college and not be broke. You would like to consider the academic reputation of the school. And, reputation speaks volumes. It opens a lot of doors for people when they are looking for jobs. You want to know, you do some research about the campus culture. What is the environment like on the campus? Is it a party school? If you're an introvert, that may not be your zhush. That might not be your thing. What kind of other activities are there for students. And typically, you know, if with the larger schools, there's something for everybody. You will find your people in the larger schools if you know where to look. So it is helpful landing on the campus and knowing where to look, as opposed to kind of trying to figure it out as you go along the way. What kind of employment support does the school offer? Do they have a career center? Do they bring in, do they have hiring fairs? Do they bring in companies to meet their students? Does the school have relationships with corporations that offer internships? Because internships are exceptionally valuable. Not only do you get paid for actually going to intern at a company like General Motors or Coca-Cola or or Honeywell, the internships are typically offered, you know, in areas where you will be interested in. But you definitely want to know what kind of employment support there is, because a lot of people actually get hired from internships. So they already have a job locked down when they graduate. The alumni network, that's also something that's really cool. And what I can tell you about the social media now is that a lot of these schools have alumni networks that have social media channels, and they welcome questions. So if you have questions, if you're interested in, say, Tennessee State University, look up their alumni network on social media and ask, you know, what is the education program like? What is the nursing program like? They will tell you, and they will be probably more honest than you would get speaking to an official school representative. Balance. Does the school have an environment that will promote balance? Of course, you are there to be educated, but you're to be educated academically. You're also there to be educated culturally. And you also want some opportunities for multiple extracurricular activities, whether it is intramural sports or actually collegiate sports, whether it's joining a fraternity or sorority, whether it is, you know, being able to get your hair done on campus. You definitely need to have that balance. And then we go to connections, which is what I talked about at the very beginning, that your connections are your network, your community, and your tribe. These are people who can move the needle for you, and they can help you to advance in different ways.
Thank you so much for that. At this time, I'd like to break real quick for some questions. Does anyone have any questions?
You're welcome to use chat as well if you'd like to ask questions.
I'm not able to pull up the chat box, so if there are any questions with somebody, please read them out.
I have it open, but there are no questions posted at this time.
Okay, we will keep going. Okay, so there are multiple resources to help you in your researching different colleges. You want to meet with your guidance counselor. Your guidance counselor has a wealth of knowledge and could potentially have some connections. So you definitely want to get to know your guidance counselor on a personal level if you can, and professionally personal, I should say. So your guidance counselor should know your name, should know your classification, should know what your interests are and what schools you're interested in. Your first interaction with your guidance counselor should not be to ask her or him to write you a letter of recommendation. Again, reach out to those alumni that you know and any alumni networks. They're easy to find on the internet and to tap into on social media. The online college tours are available on YouTube. They're available on the college websites. There are many like the ones that Phyllis showed you earlier, and that can give you somewhat of a feel for the campus. Attend college fairs when you're able. They are pretty interesting. We actually take students from the Wooten Center historically to a very large college fair, the Black College Expo. But you should attend that if we're able to do it again. But on your own, go to college fairs, ask questions, be nosy. This is your life. And so there's no question that is off limits. You have representatives from the schools where you can have face-to-face conversations with. Talk to family and friends. People know people. If you're interested in, going to North Carolina A&T, I've never been, but I know people who have. So they can make those connections for you. Even my chapter members, let us know if you have a specific interest in a particular school, because people know people. Visit the school. Stanford University and many of the universities, I speak to Stanford specifically because I've done a college tour at Stanford, as well as many other schools, but Stanford University has an amazing campus, and they have a really cool visitation program where you can schedule, and they do a walkthrough, and they have it's student guided. A lot of them actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because Emory's is student guided as well. So you actually get to meet and talk to people that are more in your peer group and that are not just really trying to sell the school. But make sure you keep a consistent list of questions. So if you are able to do those tours, or even if you take the virtual tour, write your questions down and make sure that you have them, close by and available, just in case you run into an alumna, or you are able to send those questions and have communication with somebody directly on campus. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a comment just to add to what you were saying. I think another valuable resource, if schools still do this, I'm pretty sure they do, if you could benefit from some sort of step or bridge program prior to the fall semester or quarter, depending on what system you will be attending, that really helps with that transition from high school to college, because you are with a smaller cohort of people who are making that transition with you. You're taking you're taking fewer classes, but you're still exposed to the college curriculum and meeting and networking a little. It's a little head start. So if the school offers some sort of bridge or step program, I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. So when that semester begins or that quarter begins, you already are familiar with being a college student.
That is a great point, Kiana. Thank you for that. I do know that Spelman has one of those, and I believe it is offered to rising juniors, if I'm not mistaken. But that's something that you should definitely look into. Don't assume that there are bridge programs that are specifically for seniors and people who have graduated and they may, come to the campus a few weeks early or a week or so early. But there are also more formal bridge programs, as Kiana mentioned, and they're geared toward underclassmen. So if that is you, you definitely want to start looking into whether or not the schools that appeal to you have those programs.
I'm just kind of curious as well, like what schools are some of the students considering right now? Maybe you could put that in the chat or unmute yourself. We didn't get a chance to see, well, I haven't had a chance to see anybody because all of our cameras are off and we're on mute. But I wanted to kind of hear from the students. Where are your interests? Are you considering HBCUs or any of the UCs or Cal States? Just to give us an idea of your interest. So could you put in the chat or unmute yourself so that we can know that you're with us?
I'm considering going to a HBCU.
Awesome. Which one?
I was looking at Spelman in North Carolina, A&T.
Great schools.
So we have an alum on this Zoom right now. So you have a connection here. I see some folks participating in the chat as well. Somebody said HBCU only.
Yes.
HBCUs right now are getting a lot of resources. That's one of our initiatives in our sorority is to support our HBCUs. So we are definitely very interested in making that our pipeline in our communities. I didn't have that opportunity. Well, I didn't take that opportunity, I should say, when I was in college. I went to a UC, but if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would have considered that because those networks are very, very tight.
I see a question in the chat from Alexia Williams. She wants to know, oh no, she's saying she wants to apply to an HBCU, but she hasn't found one that has the major she wants. What are you interested in majoring in or studying, Alexia? You want to come off mute and tell us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm interested in like a language major such as Korean or Japanese.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have to do a little research on.
Yes, that will be somewhat of a challenge. Now, what I can recommend for anyone who is having that same type of a challenge is some HBCUs actually have partnerships with larger universities. For example, our Emory and Spelman have a partnership. So, am I right, Stacy?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah, so my daughter went to Spelman. I was pulling from that old knowledge, but yeah, a lot of HBCUs have partnerships with larger schools. And so you're still able to attend the HBCU and get your degree from the HBCU, but take classes at a different school that may have a wider breadth of choices. Southern University, my HBCU, has a partnership with LSU. So those are things that could definitely help with finding those majors that are pretty challenging or unique.
I just want to piggyback on that. Also, one thing that you can look into is if the school has an interdisciplinary studies program. The school I went to didn't have the major exactly of what I wanted to do, and I had a few different things that I was interested in. And I went to the dean of the school. You submit a formal letter saying, what it is you want to do and why, and go through the book. When you get your academic book of all the classics, all the classes and things that are offered, and you make a list of all the classes you're interested in taking, you submit that, and if it gets approved, you can actually get an interdisciplinary studies degree in whatever those other things are that you added. So that's also a possibility if you don't see it black and white on the list.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like that's all the questions for right now. I'm going to do a little bit of research while you guys are talking to see if I can find the language major schools. Please proceed.
So Micah, I'm laughing at her at her comment. She said that her mom went to Spelman, and so she is destined to land at Spelman. Make sure that that's where you want to be too, because I know that it is important. And I, not none of my kids actually went to the same school that I went to, but their experiences were similar. And the other thing with that level of pressure, you still want to apply to other schools, because Spelman is very, very, very competitive getting in. It's really competitive. So make sure that you have backup schools as well. Okay. So
we want to add, of course, that that's not saying that you wouldn't be able to get in or that it wouldn't go positive for you, but just in general, when you're applying to colleges, it's always wise to just have options. And it may not even be about you getting in. You just may decide, you may change your mind. So you might get in, you may only apply to one school, and then you may just change your mind and decide, I would like to go to this particular school. So it's also for different reasons, you want to always consider applying to more than one school, even if you have your mind set on a particular school.
Excellent point. Thank you, Sauda. Okay, so how to build your college or university list. So you start with picking the schools that you are willing to go to. And then you want to create your list. You want to separate them in different categories, okay? So you want your reach schools. These are the schools that are typically pretty competitive in terms of admission. And for different reasons, some formulas we don't know, students, we don't know how they choose their students. But some of them have really strong reputations for bringing in students that are top academics, and you have to have leadership and community service and check a whole bunch of different boxes. But the reach schools, put them on your list. There are many people who you would think would get in, and they don't. And there are people who you would say, oh, wow, you got into that school. Don't underestimate your ability to be accepted into the school of your choice. So, and then there are those stretch schools. These are the schools that you might have maybe like a 75% chance of being accepted. And it's not necessarily about you. It could be about their acceptance rate. Maybe it's a small school, and their freshman class, they only accept, 400 students. So that will be what is considered a stretch school. And then you have your schools where you have a 50-50 chance of getting in. So, based on your student profile, based on, and your ability to afford that school, you want to include affordability in these lists as well. Whether or not you can afford that school, yeah, I think I can. I think my parents can swing it, or I think we can swing it. I think I have enough scholarship opportunities, so then that will become your 50-50 school. Your safety school, these are the schools that you have a significant level of confidence that if you apply, you'll get accepted, you can afford it. It's doable for you. You know, a safety school may be one that's closer to home where you don't have to rely specifically on, you know, buying plane tickets to come back and forth just to get home, etc. So your list should have you should have 4 lists where your reach schools, your stretch schools, your 50-50, and your safety schools. Okay, you wanted to have at least 2 to 3 schools in each category. And among those, you really should apply to 8 to 10 if you can. And make it a good application, not just okay, here you go application, but it goes back to what Sauda was just saying. It's you want to make sure that you're giving yourself a lot of options when it comes down to making that final decision. It's better if you are able to, you know, be able to choose, be accepted to 8 schools and be able to choose from those 8 as opposed to 1 or 2. Then you want to identify the benefits of each college. And it goes back to that list, but very specifically, the list earlier, but very, very specifically, academics, your extracurricular activities, your social opportunities, because it's important that you have balance. You're not at college to get burnt out. You're not at college to just party. You got to have that balance. You want the diversity if that's something that is important to you. And the affordability. You really want to know, is this a school that I can actually afford to attend and be there for the whole 4, sometimes 5 years. Some programs are 5 years. It's heartbreaking a lot of times where students have to, they start and they can't stay. And some of it is driven by finances. So you want to, you know, try to choose a school that is affordable. Are there any questions?
There was a question about an ASL major, American Sign Language, if I'm not mistaken. And I mentioned that I have a friend who minored in it, but I was just curious about how you wanted to use that major, or if it could be a minor. And it looks like it'll be alongside law. So I'm still trying to dig a little deeper. Are you advocating for folks who are deaf or hard of hearing and use American Sign Language, or is it just kind of a passion of yours? Or I'm just curious, because that could help shape your path. Like, so my trying to advocate. Okay, so an advocate. Okay, because we have an education lawyer on this call as well who advocates. So I'm just trying to, you know, think of how you would use that degree as opposed to being certified or having a minor and still being proficient in American Sign Language. Unless you just wanted that major, there are other pathways to you know, understand that skill. Just curious. I don't know if
and I'm here, and I'm here. I'm here if you have any questions. This is Sauda, who Ms. Kiana was referring to regarding advocacy for people with disabilities as an attorney.
Jean, you're on mute.
I sure am. I'm sorry. As you can see, we are here to be resources to you. And if we don't know, there's a possibility that we know somebody who knows, or that we can help you to find out. And lastly, community college is a very smart, very viable option, especially in the state of California, where, if I'm not mistaken, the cost is very minimal if it's not free. Somebody else may have more information on this specifically, but typically community colleges are very affordable. Even if you choose to attend a traditional college or university, you can still take classes at a community college while you're enrolled at a university to help to support your major. But you just have to check and make sure that the community college classes will be accepted at the university. But typically it goes the other way around. Typically people will go to the community college for different reasons, and then transfer. If they want to keep going, they'll transfer to a college or university. And there are transfer scholarships out there that are available if this is something that is of interest to you. Community colleges are very, very affordable. They have a lot of academic flexibility. They typically cater to students who have other responsibilities in addition to being a student. So they usually have a lot of options for classes at night, classes on the weekends, those type of things. There is the ability to transfer, as I mentioned before, to a four-year college or university. This is also a chance for you to be able to adjust to college prior to college life and what it's like being an adult student prior to going to maybe a bigger campus. There is job training and certificates that are available at the community college level. They do offer school and life balance. And of course, community colleges offer those associate degrees. They have smaller class sizes. They do offer professional certificates, and some even offer online classes.
Jean, I just wanted to add to the, let me turn, sorry. I wanted to add also, just in terms of the community college, I have a cousin who now just started at Cal, but her mom actually had her start community college while she was in high school, because you are, in California at least, you're allowed to take classes at community college, and that is actually credit towards towards graduating. So that's one thing, as well as I have a niece who's currently in community college, and I know each class is less than $60, at least here at the LACC, it's less than $60 per class for her. So it's definitely an awesome option for people who are thinking of going that route. And you definitely want to look into it even as high school students, just in terms of extra bonus points as you apply to colleges.
Absolutely. And thank you, Ms. Tanisha put in the chat that community college is free for recent high school graduates. Plus, there are good options to knock out those general education classes while you're in high school. And yes, that's an excellent point. Ms. Brittany mentioned that she went to a community college while she was in high school, and it saved her so much time not having to do those general education classes when she got to college. It's a money saver too, let me tell you, because, you know, and it can get you out of college a lot faster, but it is a money saver because, you know, college is college, and at a university, it's pretty expensive. You can knock out whether it is in high school or after you graduate from high school prior to going to a college or university. A lot of those general education classes, those Englishes, those, lower level math classes, the history classes, unless you are a history major, they are classes that you can go ahead and get them out of the way for a cheaper price. Oh, somebody also mentioned that it's also free while you're in high school. So
But
if you have the time, definitely look into it.
Jean, this is Phyllis. So my daughter currently is in the 11th grade, and she is taking a college class at Pierce. And the only thing we had to do is get the okay from the school that she is currently attending, and it was free.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you so much for that.
Yes, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Jean and Phyllis, for those wonderful presentations today, and for everyone for joining us. Join us on our next CAP session, which will be October 2nd. We will have had the technical difficulties worked out by then. And the topic of that session will be about writing a personal statement and the essays for your college applications. And a word from Naomi.
It was my fault. I'm just going to be plain. While you guys were talking, I was researching what happened, and there were 2 Zoom rooms, one that went with the registration and one that's our personal meeting room. So we're in the personal meeting room now. So if you got the login from the registration, that's why you were in the wrong room, and it's my fault. And I'm sitting here making that correction to make sure that does not happen on October 2nd. So please accept my apology. I feel horrible because it's such a wonderful session. The good news is we did tape it. And so it is available on YouTube. It has actually been going live on YouTube the whole time. So it can be, you can view it at youtube.com/Wooten Center. So please forgive me if you can and pray for me. My intern is gone, and so I've got some technical difficulties here, but it's all worked out for October 2nd, okay? So, sirs, first, you guys forgive me? My AKA?
Of course, of course.
Of course.
Students, you forgive me?
Happens.
Please. So anyway, but anyway, I just want to thank you guys. Once again, you guys, it takes some work to put these kind of presentations together, and you guys, you put your foot in it, as we say, because you care about the kids. So if the kids, so we can just, I know you got your mute on, but just, I wish if you had your picture showing, we could just go woo and give it a good clap. But we appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to next month for the personal statement. Please be here, students. I can't express to you how important that is because, it is a competition, unfortunately, and they're looking at your personal, and I've seen some statements that you could tell the student didn't try very hard. So if you want somebody to go to your school and be successful, and you're looking at that letter and they give you one little crappy little paragraph, who are you going to choose? Them or the one that has this very well-researched personal statement? So come next month. And they're going to help you, do the best job that you can be, so you can be more competitive. All right. So with that said, thanks everybody for coming. Remember, youtube.com/Wooten Center, and the tape should be up right now. Do you guys, anything else from AKA? Students, anyone, comments, questions, anything? This is the time. So, and you can always call us too at the Wooten Center. Look at our contact information. We have people that can help you between time, with any questions about going to college, any help with applications, scholarships, we do all that stuff. So just give us a call and we'll do our best. All right.
I will say that if there were any questions that we didn't cover in the chat or in the presentation, or if you think of some questions after we're done this evening, please reach out to Wooten Center. They know how to get in contact with us, and we'll be happy to follow up with you directly.
Yes.
Thanks again for your time.
Just click on contact. Our number and email is right there. Just reach out.
Awesome job, Jean and Phyllis. Thank you so much. And thank you, Brittany and Stacy, for making this happen. We're grateful.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Good night.